Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast with your host, Lorna Poole, sharing the secrets to creating wealth, investing, and that all-important money mindset. To find out more and accelerate your journey to financial freedom, head on over to www.lornapoole.com to get started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast. Would you love to know what is the path to creating your financial freedom? With me today is our expert, Patrick Donohoe, and he is a #1 best-selling book called Heads I Win, Tails You Lose, a financial strategy to reignite the American dream. It's all about finding financial freedom. Patrick Donohoe is the president and CEO of Paradigm Life, one of the largest private financial planning and advising firms in the world. With a background in economics and marketing, Patrick immediately realized the opportunity to teach investors, business owners, professionals, and families on a large scale using modern digital media and communication technology. Patrick, great to have you here.
It's a pleasure, Lorna. Thank you for having me on.
You know, there's so many people out there and they don't take the time to they think creating financial freedom is beyond them, right?
I agree.
And as someone who's on this journey, anyone can do it. I know there's certain elements, but it is possible for everyone, right?
I think so. I think I would go as far as to say that it's what everyone is actually seeking, whether they believe it or not.
I agree. I absolutely agree with you. So, Patrick, I'm somebody, I want to start my journey. What should I be doing?
Well, I'd define financial freedom, because I do think it's relative, and it really comes down to a mindset. It's the mindset you have in relation to your life, and if your decisions and the trajectory that you're on is contingent on a financial decision, then I would say that's where you need to start, which is defining what it would take to have a sense of freedom that you don't currently have, and it's a combination of things. It's how you manage your money, it's how you invest, it's what you do for a career, what you do to contribute to others, who you are in exchange for value, which is money. I think all of those are part of the equation. But I would say the best place to start is by answering, a simple question, which is, a form of what's keeping you up at night. What are you concerned about when it comes to finances? And that should provide enough to, really start to, overcome whatever is of most concern to you. And then from there, it's just peeling away the layers until you achieve that mental state of freedom.
So what you're saying is creating financial freedom is more about mental state than the amount of money in your bank account?
Yeah. I mean, I've done business with, multi millionaires, and they're, I would say, they're in financial bondage, I guess, which is the opposite of financial freedom, just as much as the next person. So it really comes down to a state of mind, not necessarily the number in your bank account.
I would agree with that. But in saying that, having money can help your journey be, don't get me wrong, people with financial wealth or whatever also have their struggles. But,
Absolutely.
I do agree with you that freedom is 100% a mindset. A lot of people put their life on hold thinking, when I have this, I'll do this and so forth.
Uh-huh.
But also you can create a life where money doesn't have to be such a burden on people, right?
I totally agree. And today I feel that it is one of those overarching concerns that people have that lead to a lot of other issues, personal relationship issues, spiritual issues, the pursuit of an ideal career. So you're right. And I think there's ways in which you can position your finances in a way that help support your pursuit of financial freedom. And it's one of those things, as you said, Lorna, that today is it's more possible than ever before because of how intertwined economies are, because of technology. There's so many opportunities, and I would say first it's the belief that it's possible, and then starting to, as I said before, peel back some of the layers. But I would say one thing that has really helped me to understand financial freedom, okay, is that we are, there's something ingrained in us that it's a talent or something that we desire to do that's of value to somebody else. And you can see it. I have little kids from 4 years old to 13, and you can see it in them where they're trying to define who they are as it relates to other people. And they're trying to figure out what's special about them, what's different about them. And I would say adults, it's more difficult to do, but at the same time, if you believe that there's something in you that is special and unique, then chances are, if you figure out a way to provide that to other people, that's going to be one of the, I would say, golden, pardon the use of, the Irish idea of, finding gold at the end of the rainbow, where you're able to provide something that's of you, where you essentially are, I would say, the most fulfilled and have that sense of achievement because you've been of benefit to somebody else. I think that is one of those variables that's unavoidable when it comes to the achievement of financial freedom.
So you're talking about serving others.
Yeah. And I would say, the idea of service is misunderstood. It's not service where you volunteer at a soup kitchen or at a thrift store. I would say it's, the service comes down to, figuring out what's special about you, what's unique about you, what drives you, what gives you that feeling of achievement, and doing, and continuing to do that for the benefit of others. It could be graphic design. It could be a personal coach. It could be even a developer. It could be a marketer. I mean, there's so many opportunities today based on, what the prevalent career paths, where you can do it on your own terms if you really seek out those opportunities.
So how did you get into private financial planning and advising firms?
It just through a relationship. I mean, I met someone back in 2005, and she was one of the first financial advisors to Robert Kiyosaki, who's the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I met her, and she kind of took me, in a sense, under her wing, and so I learned about financial strategy, and then the difference between the typical way in which people are told to manage their money and a different way. And of course, Robert Kiyosaki says some things that are definitely against the grain of typical advice and typical rhetoric. And so it intrigued me, and I decided to change my career to actually teaching those principles in 2007. And this mentor of mine, her and her husband are still mentors of mine, but we are partners in a few different ventures. And so, so it started in 2005, and then officially in 2007, and I've been going at it since.
Explain, right? So financial strategy, typical way and different way. What do you mean by that?
Well, here in the U.S., and I think it's very similar because I think other countries have modeled their financial system after how the U.S. is structured. But in the U.S., you have financial planning, which is geared toward helping people achieve retirement at a certain age in the future, 60 years old, 65 years old. And it hasn't worked statistically. And I also believe it's contrary to what people are naturally driven to do, which is achieve financial freedom as soon as possible, not retire and stop working at 65. And so that's the primary difference. Now, when it comes down to the strategies that support that, they're much different. The strategies that support retiring at 65 include putting money into the stock market, putting money into government-sponsored plans that defer the use, and also, they defer taxes, they defer, and other things in relation, to some financial benefits, but they defer the ability to use that money to a distant point in the future. And so the strategies that we advocate allow you to capitalize on long-term gains, but at the same time, it gives you the opportunity to use that money whenever you want in the short term to help create a foundation that would allow you to pursue financial freedom. And so and from there, it goes into some of the financial products we advocate and use. But I would say the overarching idea is that the typical strategies associated with financial planning is for some distant period in the future, and you're essentially deferring your money, you're deferring your life until then. We advocate that you should strive to achieve financial freedom as soon as possible. Therefore, the financial products and strategies are going to have to change and have long-term benefits, but also allow short-term leverage.
Long-term benefits, short-term leverage. So how does somebody go about this?
Well, I'd first say that it's stepping back and looking at what are those primary anxieties associated with your finances. And so that's the whole what's keeping you up at night question. And once you start to identify whether that's debt, whether that's a unfulfilling career, or it could be something else, not making enough money also in your career. So it's identifying those primary things that are holding you back, and then it's charting a course to remove them one by one. So if it's an unfulfilling career, then it's the research and the study around what would be a fulfilling career. And then as far as money is concerned, there are a lot of resources these days that will show you in different professions and different roles, and the amount of money you would earn, whether it's a salary or whether it's an hourly wage. And then also it shows what type of criteria is required in order to achieve that. So it might be at a company. It also might be going on your own and being a freelancer or a business owner. But I would say that is also one of those misconceptions, is that type of move will create freedom. And I think Robert Kiyosaki puts it best, where those that are in the S quadrant, with the context of his cash flow quadrant, S meaning self-employed or specialist, that is when you own a job. So when you're working for somebody else, you have a job. When you're working for yourself, you own a job. And I would say that's not necessarily the freedom that people think it is. So I would say it's also understanding what is the proper way to do business on your own. And there's a lot of resources there. But I would say first it's identifying what are those primary things that are going on in life that are holding you back, and then one by one getting rid of them. And then it's again the idea, in my opinion, as it relates to financial freedom, it's not this achievement that you achieve it and then you're done. I would say financial freedom is something that you're going to be pursuing all your life. It's one of those infinite game ideas.
Is it an idea or can it be a reality?
Oh, totally a reality. So the infinite game.
What about getting money working for you? Or should everybody that wants to create financial freedom, do they have to have a business to do so?
Absolutely not. No, I would say money work
at once.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I would say money, is money working for you a good idea? And I would say it's a really good idea. And I think there are opportunities to provide passive income as far as your investments are concerned, as opposed to deferring gain until some distant future, which is the typical financial planning idea. But at the same time, if it comes down to investments as the thing that's providing you income to be financially free, you can still have anxiety and stress associated with the performance of those investments. And if those investments don't perform because you may not have control or influence over them, I would say that's not financial freedom. So I think financial freedom, there's multiple legs to the stool. And so I would say passive income is one leg. Also a meaningful career is another. But I would say when it comes to investing, it's the financial education that you have is that final leg, and then the stool can stand up. But without each other, you can have two of the three, and it still is not, in my opinion, in my experience, is not going to provide that sense of financial freedom.
So to provide the sense of financial freedom, a meaningful career. What else did you say? Sorry.
Financial education.
Financial education, yeah. And
investments that produce cash flow.
You're also talking a lot here in the underline of what you're talking about is I hear you saying a lot about being mentally free in your head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you said, well, the passive income, if you're bringing in passive income, but you have anxiety around it, it's not that it's of no use to you, but it's not letting you live freely, right?
Correct.
Have you walked that journey?
I have personally, and then I've seen it in we've done business with several thousand people, and I've seen multiple examples of it over and over again, and so that repeating theme has provided me with the understanding. And again, this is not absolute. I'm still open, and I could be totally wrong. But I would say if somebody relies exclusively on passive income producing investments as their means to create financial freedom, I don't believe that will be for long. I feel that people are meant to provide value to others, and they're meant to contribute. And without that variable, I don't believe financial freedom is possible.
Yeah, because if you strip back financial freedom, what's the motivator behind that? I believe it's to be free inside ourselves, to do the things we love, to live the life we love, and to be with the people we love. And sometimes I feel that people chase the money but forget to live their lives, and then they live in this world of where they're ill in their mind and in their body, and you can't live a freedom life if you're showing up every day not happy within yourself, right?
I completely agree. That's a great way of phrasing it, and I think there are a lot of examples out there. At the same time, it's relative, and I would say what keeps me up at night may not keep someone else up at night. But in the end, financial freedom is it is a mindset, and so that's the litmus test. Is just really where the anxiety lies and what you can do to mitigate where that is, and I would say that right there is what provides that mental state, because you can have all the passive income in the world but have a miserable life.
Yeah, absolutely, and there's many examples of that. Patrick, this has been amazing. Tell me this, anyone listening to this today, what's that one thing you'd like to say to them if they're creating their path of financial freedom? What is that kind of golden nugget?
Well, I would say that number one, the belief that it's possible, and that there's something daily you can do to be more free. And I would say first, it comes down to you filling your mind with good information and removing from your life anything that's providing negative influence.
I love that. Patrick, how do we find out more about you? And tell us a little bit about your book.
So the book is Heads I Win, Tails You Lose, a financial strategy to reignite the American dream. It's not just exclusive to Americans. I think the American dream is something that all human beings
we
pursue.
all dream of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, that's the the motivator behind the book was really a deep dive into just a lot of the past intellectuals, writers, and authors that have written about freedom in general. And a lot of it dates back to before, the America was America. And a lot of it originated with the Scottish Enlightenment, as well as some of the happenings in Europe during the 16 and 1700s. And so I dive into that a little bit and create context to what the American dream was originally, and then I tie that to the idea of financial freedom. And so that's what the book is about, and it gives some practical strategies that are available. And but a lot of it is my personal story too, and the stories of some people that I've worked with over the years to really represent some of those, I would say, atypical principles that that people are just not aware of because of the heavy influence that our banking and investment system has on media and what people do with their money. And so I get into some of those ideas as well. But yeah, you can get the book. It's on Audible, so it's an audiobook version. It's also in written version and Kindle. And Amazon is a great place to get that. But the book website is headsortailsiwin.com. So headsortailsiwin.com.
Thank you, Patrick. This has been amazing, and I really enjoyed your conversation. And I personally got a lot from this about, thinking again about, where's my head at with all this. And thank you for sharing that. And I just want to say to everybody, if you enjoyed this, remember to head over to the Financial Freedom Podcast Facebook group. And me and you can get intimate there. And let's go create our wealth together. And that's at www.facebook.com/groups/the Financial Freedom Podcast. See you there. And thank you, Patrick, for being here.
My pleasure, Lorna. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Financial Freedom Podcast to creating wealth, investing, and developing your money mindset. To get started today on your journey, head on over to www.lornapoole.com and grab your free course, 5 Steps to Breaking Free from Your Poverty Mindset and Accelerating Your Journey to Financial Freedom. See you there.